from coast to coast, giving you nothing but the most. No need to boast because it's Los the host.
It's Los the host. I'm back at you. Man, we have a special guest today. Special guest. This is one of my homeboys, and I consider this guy to be absolutely phenomenal. When I say phenomenal, I do mean it, right? This guy, I met him a few years back playing basketball, but he just has a humble approach to life. I think he has a light that shines very, very bright. And I wanted to be able to bring him to the stage because I believe he got a lot to share. You know, most people in life have a story. But in this case, what happens when you interview the host of their own podcast? So without any further ado, I'm going to bring out my man, Matt. So this is Matt next, and Matt is up. And so, Matt, introduce yourself to the people, man. Say hello to the people.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Los. I appreciate it. What is up, everyone? Yeah, Los, I definitely think you're a bright light too, man. And I just love basketball because it just, it just introduces you to brothers that you never knew. And it's just, I don't know, the camaraderie. So I think it's been a blessing for sure to meet everybody that's a part of that group, but especially you. And I'm just grateful that you have me here. But yeah, I know you've heard my podcast as well, like you mentioned. So I do have a podcast. It's called Roots and Streams. And I started that about 5 months ago now. And yeah, I'm looking forward to have Los on as well. So, we're going to get that done. But yeah, it's just a pleasure to be here, and I'm just open to share. And I know we do this out of a service for other people, right? Because we know that there's other people going through things, and like you said, everyone has their story. And hopefully whatever we can share here can help be a service to other people get through whatever the seasons they're going through.
I don't think we got to be hopeful for that. I think everybody's going to be able to gain something from the story, like I was able to do once I was able to listen to a lot of your podcasts as well. So look, let's dive on in here, man. If you don't mind,
For sure.
Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Like, who are you?
That's a big question, but so born and raised in Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley, mainly in the Northeast Valley. So like Pacoima, Sylmar, San Fernando, and moved around throughout my childhood, grown up a single mother, a dad who had like some mental health issues, ended up moving back and he still lives over there in Mexico. Youngest of 3 brothers. And I'm married now. I have 4 children. I have like 2 waves of children. So I have a 14 and a 12-year-old. And then now we have a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old. So
oh man, so you started over?
Yeah. I guess you can put it that way. We added, I'm on good days, I'm like, all right, this is an investment. Christmas is gonna be nice once the family's all together. But on bad days, it's like, man, yeah, we started over, and now I'm back in the, the ditch.
So before we dive into that, I mean, you just hit on so much about dad being, mental issues back in Mexico. So let's start here. Let's take us back from the beginning into the beginning. Because what I want from this, let me just tell you what I want.
Sure.
Podcast. From this podcast, I want people to be able to dive in deep to know who Matt is, right? I don't want to know the surface base, right? We want to dive in deep with some hardships. So let's take us from the beginning with hardships growing up. Tell us more about Dad. Tell us more about the situation that occurred or what continues to occur back then opposed to now. So take us back to the beginning, if you will.
Yeah, I love it, Los. You definitely you're like, let's get the good stuff. Let's get the juicy stuff. But I think honestly, it's not just like for like the sake of juicy like stories, but I think when we can kind of share like who we are and be seen by people, I think that's like a really like healthy and spiritual thing. So for me growing up, so again, the youngest of 3. So my oldest brother's 7 years older than me, middle brother's 3 years older than me. So I'm still like the smallest of 3 of them all. And as far as I know, like, because I was the youngest, they got divorced when I was around like 2-3 years old. And then he left back to Mexico probably like when I was like 5. And I know there was a lot of difficulty with my mom, like weighing whether she should divorce him or she shouldn't, because she was raised Catholic, and then she started to really find like Christianity. And she was in the church, and she was like, had, fellowship and friendships and Bible study. So from what she tells me, I mean, it was just like blatant, like cheating, like finding him at bars with other women. Like she was going like, and just sticking with it. She was just trying to hold on to her marriage because she felt like, it's what, it's biblical. Like you got to, see it through. And so she said, it came to a point where God like just really released her. It's like, it's fine. Like you could go. And so, I think that was probably the best decision. Like, I don't think anyone grows up any healthier without both parents. But having to grow up in a household that was that could have been that chaotic, I would imagine we were probably better off. And my mom went back to college actually as soon as like they were divorced or pretty close after. So definitely a lot of time like with babysitters, and she was busy, and that's hard, because she's just trying to do everything she can because she's the only parent now, get us out of the projects in Pacoima. And she just saw like, my brother's going a certain route, and she's like, I need to change course here. And for me, I was just like always the timid, quiet one trying to stay out of trouble. Like I remember going outside in those projects, and I don't know why, I was so young, but for some reason this memory sticks out of like going outside, wanting to play with the kids in the neighborhood, and they just punked me. They're like, don't you ever come back out here again. And I'm like, I don't know what my brothers were. Nobody stood up for me. So I don't know. I don't remember everyone being around me. I just remember like getting punked out there, and it's like, dang, like I can't be out here or else I'm gonna get jumped or something. And that was like the neighborhood I grew up in. I don't know. So, when having bigger brothers, a house of everyone's bigger than you, everyone's louder than you, everyone, so if anything's going down, it's just me like hoping nothing goes crazy and nobody hurts me, So I think that's probably, I grew up very like, at least when you first meet me, maybe not as much anymore. Like I seem very timid, right? Seem very like quiet and like kind of checking things out. I think I've broken out of that. But like, so I say, so my mom goes to college, she finishes college. She moves us out to San Fernando to a nicer neighborhood. And like, she's in politics. So she was like the mayor of San Fernando.
Wow.
Yeah, she was the first woman mayor of San Fernando.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. She had this like canvassing with her, going to door. Growing up, it was cool to be around, and I really took to politics. She was just doing everything she could. She's definitely has a servant's heart, like, for the family, like for the community, just trying to give back. And, I think as a parent, especially for her, she's trying to do everything she can. Of course, there is some like of a single mother like that's doing that much. Also, like we didn't always have her around, because she was out serving sometimes, whether at church or in politics. So, we're definitely like, I know we're in a place where we're figuring that out, like getting some healing in that area. So a lot of like latchkey, I would just walk home from school, make myself a little top ramen, put some egg in there, some cheese in there, like, just coming up with recipes. Because I think that's why I like to cook so much, is I wanted to eat. So I had to learn to cook because my mom just had to work late, or she was studying, or doing politics stuff. She would cook, don't get me wrong. And I know she probably feels guilty if she's even hearing that, but it's just the situation, right? She was trying to do the best she could. And yeah, I think I sucked at school. Like, I guess I give a little bit of background to that. Like school was never like super difficult, but I just could not conform to it. I think like Adam shared, one of our friends, it was just something to it, but I stuck with it just because to make my mom proud. Like I even got through college, surprisingly. And then, shortly after I got married. So I got married shotgun wedding. I was dating my wife for like 5 years. We definitely weren't like all holy and like waiting till we got married or anything. I just was not that close. I don't know. I grew up Christian. Obviously, I talked about my mom being Christian. I grew up in the church, but definitely like was not very tied to it at that time. And if anything, like kind of not rebelling, but just maybe not even just not, well, I don't know, not for it, just living a young life. So my first my daughter, my oldest daughter, she was there at the wedding in my my wife's belly, because my wife was 6 months pregnant when we got married. And yeah,
So let's bag it up.
yeah. Wherever you want to dive into there, I shared a lot.
I want to stay in order, because at the end of the day, it's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, everyone was like,
so you're saying the hardships was your mom being in politics, actually being an active member in the church, and still trying to raise all the boys. How many is in your family? How many
there's three of
siblings?
us. Yeah, so I have two older brothers.
Two older brothers and you. And so you were the youngest, and you were a little bit more timid, and you were getting punked in the neighborhood, and mom was out here just trying to actually make a living to get you all out of the projects. And so is that the hardest hardship that you can remember or think about as you were growing up? Anything traumatic that made up who Matt is?
Yeah, I think for me, I think for me, it was just like a lot of time, like just, I think just left to kind of think about like, of just not knowing. Like, I think when sometimes you don't have somebody by your side to kind of keep you focused or motivated, or latch to something, like you can just kind of fear the unknown. And I know for me, like, and this is why, like, I'm not great at finding mentors, but I really believe in having mentors. And I remember at a young age, like in high school, middle school, like, and this may not like seem traumatic. Like, I can't think of anything traumatic, but what comes up is like having all that time, because at least I had a safe place to go to, right? Like I had a key to my house and I can like walk home. I don't remember like really nothing ever happened like walking home. It's just, I don't know if the neighborhood was like super secure, but it just never happened. But for me, I'm someone who can get like lost in my thoughts a lot. So I remember like painstakingly like thinking like, what is this about? Like, what is life? Like not knowing where I'm going. Like I'm just going to school, like probably what our kids feel sometimes. Like I'm just going to school, I'm coming home, I'm like doing chores, I'm feeding myself, like it's over and over. Like, but wait, but what is this about? Like, why am I here? And I remember it dawned on me, and like I remember like weeks of like, to like the point where I'm crying like just by myself in my house, because I don't know who my brothers are. Like they were just older, so they're probably with their girlfriends or playing football, and my mom's working. So I'm just like sitting by myself, like having a like nervous breakdown. I was like, why am I here? What is life? And just feeling like alone and lost. And I think that stuck with me like throughout, probably honestly only to a few, like maybe a handful of years ago, as I started to get rooted in my Christianity.
Just interrupt if you don't mind.
Yeah. So
the thing is, how did you get through that traumatic situation of really being depressed and really dealing with anxiety? And that's what they call it now. We didn't know what it was called back then in the 90s. But so when you were going through that metamorphosis of thoughts in your head about who am I and trying to find an identity, how were you able to get out of that? Were you able to speak to anyone? Were you able to release any of these thoughts?
I would say no. Okay. Like I just didn't, honestly. So this carried on like probably, so it like surfaced there. I remember like feeling really anxious, and I wouldn't like show it. I definitely didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to. And at that time, at that age, it wasn't even like a thought to share it with anyone, like my mom or anyone, you know, like I didn't know anyone else would ever thought that, or like it was a valid reason to like be scared. I don't know. I didn't have anyone. So I don't know how I got through it other than just experiencing it and just getting to the next day.
The reason I asked you that in
Yeah.
particular because we got young boys that may watch this podcast, right? And they might think they too cool to cry. They too cool to go through these type of emotions.
Sure.
And so my thing is, if you don't have your therapist around, if you don't have mom around, if you don't have big brothers around to be able to process your feelings, then what?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a testament today to say my boy Matt got through it, and we're going to keep going to try to understand how he was able to get through it. So this is how we were able to process that. So how old were you when you met your girlfriend that turned into your wife? How did that all happen?
Yeah. I want to touch on what you mentioned. So I think even though I might not have had the answer or found somebody right then, I think us talking about it right now and somebody listening to it, I think they'll find a breakthrough and know like, wait, I'm not alone. Like maybe if I do go and talk to Los or Matthew, or I like just mention it to my coach because I just didn't know. And I think if somebody is listening to this and they're feeling like that anxiety and just lost, I'd say find the closest person you can that you trust even a little bit or that you just hang around with. Just tell it to somebody and you'd be surprised that other people are going through stuff. Like I wish somebody would have just told me like everyone's going through something and just share it with somebody, like anybody. And I think that's helpful. I think God has given us the gift of other people. I know oftentimes like I could sit here and be like, God showed up and I prayed or just tell you to meditate on the word. Not that those things don't work. But if you don't have that, or you don't even know what you're reading and you don't know, some people I know, I don't know how to pray. I say the closest thing is to connect to another person, another image of God, like that I think that truly is a blessing. I think we overlook it, like the human resource that is here on earth, that we can connect with other people, and hopefully that like Holy Spirit can enter into that and just allow us to feel like we're seen. I think that it sounds small, but just take maybe just a little bit of courage and just share like, man, have you ever been like scared? Like, and you may get made fun of. I don't know. It depends on how you share it. So be careful who you share it with, but I would just encourage you to try to share it with somebody, reach out to somebody. Cause you'll just be surprised that, the amount of like support and love that you'll find if you just open up, on that. So I just wanted to mention that.
No, absolutely. You know me. I'm gonna circle back to that because everything has a story. That's why I'm just trying to get all the stuff out of the way.
So
dive deep into it. So tell us about your marriage and how did you meet your girl that turned into your wife?
Yeah, I met her at probably like the most terrible place ever. It was like just it was the job. It was this job that I had that honestly, when I look back on it, it just makes me grateful for anything that comes next because it got me through college. Like I'm grateful for it, but I also remember like being in my car, like crying before I had to go into work. Like it was stressful. Management was all over the place. Like it was just not a fun job. So I worked for a dispatch company, a company that would, like they pick up handicapped people and like disabled people throughout the valley. So it's Access Paratransit, so MV Transportation. And so we always like behind the computer, like directing drivers who to pick up and the routes they have to take. And my wife at the time was in the call center. And I don't know, I remember just for me, this is something that I'm still coming to terms with because I guess as a guy being around other guys, there's always like a stereotype like for guys, right, of what it should look like when you're dating and stuff. And for me, I don't know, I was hopeless romantic. Maybe I watched too much like Wedding Singer, and I just always thought like, or maybe, and also maybe because I was a chubby kid that nobody like saw. So I'm just like, once I get one girl, like I'm gonna keep her forever. That did not happen. And I remember seeing like friends in high school like dating. I'm like, why are they breaking up? That's dumb. Like if you just love each other, like shouldn't it just all be good? Like I remember being so naive like that. And I had like one like puppy love like girl in high school, and that just did not work out. And so a couple like dating in between, but I was just definitely looking for somebody that I knew when I was thinking of dating, especially like into high school, I knew I was looking for a wife. Like I just wasn't somebody who was, and it's
In
not.
high school, man.
Yeah, again, I'm just like a hopeless romantic. I just maybe watched too many movies and thought, yeah, when you find that one, then like that's it. Like so, and I think maybe there's something from like growing up no father, and like I remember in high school for sure, like God gave me the vision of being a father. Of like, so I always looked forward to being a father. Maybe not a husband, but I just obviously there has to be that's part of it. So I was just always looking forward to being a father. So to me, it made sense of like, I wasn't, don't get me wrong, like there's pornography in between and like I had sex drives and everything, right? And looking at girls, but there was something about my focus. Maybe it came, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how maybe it was from my mom or what. I can't, and I'm not going to sit and be like, oh, because the church and the Bible says that. It wasn't that. It was just something in me that I wanted to, my focus was like, I'm finding a girl that I'm going to marry. Like that was just my focus. Like, I don't know. And maybe because I just lacked confidence to like be the player. And I saw that my brother was like the oldest, you know, that's why I liked R&B growing up so much, like Jodeci and Boyz II Men.
No, man.
Yeah.
Good though, man. Hey, shout out to Matt for understanding good music, man. That, boy.
John B, you know, like, cause he's just cutting my hair. I remember in the bathroom going up.
Hey, Adam, y'all hear this? Go ahead, man. Keep spitting them out.
112. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember we sang 112 to my grandma one year. Like we didn't know, like we remember it was like, I thought I told you that we won't stop. Then we all had a part like from the 112.
Hey, from now on, Matt invited to the barbecue. I'm gonna invite you to the barbecue.
100. So, yeah, my brother like was like that. Like they went to that, and I remember like growing up, he's cutting my like he was my barber because my mom didn't want to pay for me. Like I could remember like a handful of haircuts outside of home. My brother learned how to cut his own hair, and then my mom would have him cut my hair, and yeah, he just had that music all the time. So I grew up on a lot of R&B, but that was around me, but it just nobody ever, maybe I was just a chubby kid that nobody really saw to go out and like date a bunch of girls. And there was no like male in the house was like, oh yeah, like, you know, look at those girls over there. Or like, yeah, you know, you're going to date this many, like it just, that didn't exist for me. So that wasn't really being beat into my head. Again, if anything, it was like Wedding Singer or like, I don't know, I keep bringing up that movie. It was one of my favorites of just like,
I get it, Tata.
yeah,
I get it. I understand. So you met her while you were in high school. Is that what we're saying?
No, it was just right after high school at this job. And
why did you say that was the worst job? I work with people that go and access every day. Like, why did you say that was the worst job?
Because look, you're sitting in this room, and it's like a really pressure room, at least at the time before. I don't know how automated their dispatching is now, but like you're given all this pressure to make sure drivers aren't late, and there's this window, and then customers are calling. You got to pick up the phone and be like, oh yeah, your driver, you know, he's 10 minutes away. And then maybe like 10 minutes go by, they're calling you again. Where is he? And then, oh, he didn't see you. And like, oh, we have to leave because he didn't find you. And then they're like, it's just angry customers, pressure from managers. Like, why are these drivers late? And you're trying to figure, it's just like high pressure. And management honestly was not very like supportive. And then you just got customers weighing on you.
How did you have the courage to approach her?
So, yeah, it's crazy because I remember there was always girls coming into there, and I just never really saw anyone I was interested in, like anyone that, again, to me, that was like wife like that. I could see being my wife. But I remember seeing her, and like she was studying, like she was like during her job, like during while she's on the shift, like studying for college. And then I was like, oh man, and she's like pretty. I mean, I thought she was beautiful, and I was like, and she just, I could tell she wasn't like way out there, like to the point where I would be so, like intimidated. Like some of the girls there, they were like just all the makeup and like they knew they were like beautiful, you know, like they knew like they knew they had it. And so it would be hard for me to approach that. So she was a little bit more like modest, and I don't know. I just remember all of a sudden I just had game from 1 minute to the next, and like I was like,
R&B kicked in, baby.
yeah.
Okay.
I just walked up and was like, "Oh, what are you studying here?" Like, yeah, like I just saw her books right there. I was like, "Oh, you're studying? Like, this is cool." So just started talking about school, and then yeah, I just like something about like seeing like somebody that you're really interested in. Like for me, at least, it wasn't like overly like nervousness. I remember we were gonna go see a movie with my friends, and so I hit her up. I was like, "Hey, we're gonna go see this movie." It was like The Ring 2, some whack movie. And it was just at a time where you go to the movies like every weekend because it's just a thing to do and it doesn't matter what's playing. And so I hit her up, I was like, "Hey, you know, we're going to buy tickets. You want me to buy you a ticket? And, you know, you can come join us, you know, after work." And so she comes, and she actually kind of still had a boyfriend at the time, who like, and her sister came with her and her friends, and her sisters all mad at her. Like, "I can't believe like you're going on this date with this guy right now, and you still have this boyfriend that you haven't officially broken up with." And so like her sister was so mad that she sat in between us to block.
Block him, boy. Hey, that sounds like something JJ will do. We're gonna keep going, man. Keep going.
You couldn't help it. You had to mention something.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nah, so that's really where it started, and then we just started texting, and like it was like 5 years of, honestly, like I felt like we just weren't mature enough. Like I wasn't mature enough necessarily, I think emotionally, and just to like understand like some of the pains that she was coming with, like, cause we would like, it would be good. And then like we broke up probably like, I don't know, like 10 times through those 5 years. And there wasn't a lot of like stability, and, but we kept coming back to each other though. And I like wouldn't break up necessarily cause like there was other girls or anything like that. It was just, we would argue over things. And I definitely think that, again, this is not me trying to be like goody two shoes or I'm a Christian. Like, I think sex like got in the way. And I remember even having that conversation, like, and it's like maybe we should just stop having sex. Cause like sex, it just was like this Band-Aid that just kept on like covering what we needed to work on. Like, and
I thought sex is a tool. Right? I thought sex could be a tool. So if we are upset or mad, sex can bring us closer together. Or if I'm trying to self-express, I can show my love by sex, right? And so sometimes, I know men want it more often than women based on just standardly, saying, but it just seems like that would be a situation where we can talk more, we can be able to communicate more, I can express more of myself this way. No?
So I think everything, like, right, everything can be good and everything can be bad. So I think for us in that season, I think sex was definitely a connection that was keeping us. So if I look at it as like, yeah, it was keeping us together, and now we're great and we're married and everything's good, right? But I also think there was some immaturity to it. I for sure, I think sex can be an amazing thing, especially in marriage. I don't think there's anything that can defile the marriage bed. Like I think for sure.
I know. What we was talking about before y'all was married. This is where we are right now, right?
Yeah, we're talking within those 5 years before we got married.
We can officially say Matt is Mr. Steal Your Girl. She was able to break up with her old boyfriend.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right, okay, and which is great. So,
but she was already in the process, or she had like was breaking up with him. So it wasn't like she left.
But that's a confidence builder. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Got you. Okay. So that you won the prize. You got the girl. And now y'all having a lot of problems where y'all on again, off again, because it was over petty arguments, because communication was not a big thing, because we were young and we both were immature. Is that correct?
Yeah. So and so I think some of the maturity was like it was all communication. For us, a lot of the time it's just been communication. And a lot of times there behind that communication or just a lack of it is, I think, a couple of things. One, like of how the kind of communication you grew up around, and then also like what kind of baggage or just mentalities or pains or hurts that you have that are carrying into conversations.
Yes.
I think so. The reason why I say that sex, don't get me wrong, like it was a connection for us. It was something that like was beautiful. Like I'm not saying like that sex is terrible, because when we had those like intimate moments, it felt very like this is like where we're the best, you know. However, I think if you're always like, if you're only playing yourself and like just trying to stay in those best moments, and you're just pushing like things to the side, acting like you don't have these other problems, and it's like I just want to stay here, like I just want to stay in these, in like the goodness and like the wonderful, and not and I don't want to go and deal with that baggage. You know, I feel like that's what we were doing. So in that sense, like I'm not saying sex was bad, but we were ignoring more of the, it was more of like the individual work that we needed to do.
So let me say this, man. I'm gonna take the gloves off, right? I'm gonna throw my questions to the side. You already know my questions. I'm gonna throw them to the side, and now we're just gonna flow with this thing.
Let's do it.
This is what most people want to understand and know, right? For my single people out here, like, what got you to the point after the arguments, after the miscommunication, after being misunderstood, after sex being the best place, but after that, we're trying to find normalcy. How do we find the ability to say, will you marry me? Mm-hmm. What got me to that point?
Mm-hmm. What got me to that point?
Yes. That's what we're talking about, because you had to initiate all of this.
Yeah.
Hit me with a curveball.
Because we're going back and forth for like 5 years, and we actually tried to do therapy individually, like on the cheap. It was like some students or something. And we did that for a little bit. She wasn't really about it. I actually really liked it a lot. And so again, we're going back and forth, trying to make it work. And I remember like, let's see, we got married in 2010. So I'm thinking, man, I've been with this girl for like 5 years. I need to start thinking about like, we're going to get married, and so like shopping for a ring and stuff, even though like I'm feeling, it's just like a roller coaster. Cause there was days I remember I'm like laying with her, everything's good. I'm like, let's just pretend we're married. And then the next day I'm like, hey, you know, remember I said that? Like, maybe we shouldn't like do that. So it was just this roller coaster. And I think we were just immature.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What was your mom's thoughts on you, i.e., see, in the Black culture, we call it shacking up, right? So do you know what that term means?
Tell me, explain.
Okay, shacking up means being with a girl or your girlfriend that's not your wife.
Yeah.
Playing house. So by y'all having sex and acting like y'all married, but not really married, that's in the Black term we call shacking up. You know, in the biblical terms, in the church, in the Black church. That's what they call it.
So she was not for it. She was definitely like freaking out, especially when she found out, like, yeah, she was not for it at all. I think, I don't know what her expectations were. I don't know. Maybe with me being the youngest, it was different. Just because she went through with my brothers. And then, so like right at the moment I was like about to get to was like, so I'm thinking about getting married. And then we find out she's pregnant in like December of 2009, right? We found out she's pregnant and we tell our parents, and my mom freaked, like everybody freaked out. Okay. Maybe they weren't expecting it and it's fine. But let me give you some context. We had just both graduated from college. So like she's like 23, I'm 24. We finished it like, and I guess we're still living at like our parents' houses and all, but we found out we're married, and they act like we were like 16 and like 15 that got pregnant. Like it was, the reaction was.
Let me ask the question that the audience want to know: did your older brothers have kids yet?
Yeah. Yes. So actually, no. So my oldest brother did. So he had a baby when he was a little younger than me, and his girlfriend was like probably like 17, 18, and he was like 20 or something like that, or 19, 20. So there was that. But I guess maybe my mom like just saw it as like, you're the youngest, like you'll figure it out. Like you're gonna like do it right. You're gonna find the right girl. It's gonna be so like great and peaceful and wonderful. You're gonna have this beautiful wedding. I'm guessing this is what she saw. And then like, you know, you're gonna settle down and you're gonna like have kids. So to just hear like, oh, we're pregnant and you know, and that's it. We didn't necessarily say we were getting married. My mom was actually the one who's like, you know what, you guys should just get married and go through with it, because if you don't, once you have the kid, you're probably never going to come around to it. Like you're just not going to do it. You're just going to live together if you do stay together, and you're never going to come around to it. And I think to some extent, like she was right. Like we probably would have just put it off. And so, so we had a shotgun wedding. And my wife, like, I was confident in it. Like on the wedding day, like I was like, this is like, I'm good. Like I feel like I didn't have like any insecurity with getting married. She was the one who was like unsure, because she saw us like breaking up so much, and getting back together. So she was unsure of like what we were bringing like a child into like this relationship. So in short, like her parents, her dad was okay. Like her dad actually, because I think he always like liked me and we got along, and he just saw the kind of person I was. So he didn't freak out. He was the only one who was totally cool. He was like, it's fine. Like you guys have been together for a long time. Just move forward in your relationship.
So let me ask another question that most people don't understand that live in California. So you and her were staying with your parents and y'all had this long relationship before y'all got married. How were you able to get intimate with living at each other's parents' house? Like, how did that even happen?
You know, just sneaking out of windows.
Oh, okay. No, that's what I was wondering, because California life is really, really different.
Or just like finding like I don't know if you know Placerita Canyon, like just driving up to the canyons in the car. Like, you want all them details, like I said, Los, you can ask whatever you want. When you're young, you know, like you see in movies, like you go and drive to the dark like hill, you know, area, and because we couldn't afford.
You romantic. I didn't know you had a baby. You had your first baby was conceived in Mulholland Drive somewhere in the mountains and the hills, man. That is amazing. That's amazing to hear. Okay, so that was the marriage part. That's a lot of responsibility for getting married so young and with so much pressure of her being pregnant with your first daughter, right? First daughter, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me the feeling of when your first daughter entered the world.
Man, I can't just say that without like just the rush of the memory that comes back of like, and maybe I'm just an overshare, but anyone who is having like a first, like their first kid, I remember, you know, you just don't know a lot still, and I don't mean that to say like you're naive or anything. It's not like you just haven't been through it, and it's fine. But I remember we had a plan of like, okay, like whatever I do, like we were just both talking about it. She's like, make sure I don't get the epidural, you know, like, okay, so you're just going to push through. You're going to do it all natural. It's like, okay. All right. It's just like, we talked about it like a handful of times. And like, so we went to the hospital.
How was that important?
She just was afraid of like any kind of effects after, like symptoms, like bad backs. Like you just hear things, right? You just hear like, and so you want to try to like stay away from anything bad that could happen. I'm assuming that was her thing. So I'm like, all right, you're sure? She's like, yeah, even if I ask for it and we're in that moment, like tell me no. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, yeah, because I don't want any. So this is all coming to mind.
Gee, boy, your wife a G. But go ahead.
She really is. So this is all coming to mind because I remember when she was born, like, And also here's another thing. Like once you get close, especially your first time, you're like, let's go to the hospital because I seen in the movies, like your water breaks, like you're not gonna make it. Like I'm not gonna have this baby in this car. Like it's just not like that. At least I've had 4 kids and none of them have been like that. And so, but we rushed to the hospital, not rushed, but we definitely went faster than we probably should have. And the bad part about that is that most hospitals, especially for us, we were at Valley Presbyterian, which was like we didn't have insurance, and they're just trying to get turnover. So like they'll probably give you a reason, or maybe there was a good reason, but it felt like, all right, we're just going to give her, I forgot what it's called, that medicine that kind of like makes the contractions like come faster and like, oh man, I forgot. But it's like just to, they give you some kind of pills to make everything happen faster. So the pains are coming faster. And because in the beginning, I'm like, I had an app and I'm timing like her intervals and like she was good. And then all of a sudden she's like in so much pain because of the medication they're giving her that like it's just going like so rapid. And she's like, give me the epidural. And I'm like, no, you said no. Like you said that if you say this, I gotta say no. And I remember my mom was there and like she's like, no, I need it. I know I said that. And like it was just like I was freaking out because I'm like, it was hard to hold all that. Like she's saying yes. My mom's like, you should just give it to her. And I'm like, freaking that something bad's gonna happen to her because she says she doesn't want it. And I remember like they had to remove me from the room because like I was just like, I'm just doing my job. Like she told me that whatever happens, like don't give it to her. So she ended up getting the epidural because it was just too rapid. Like it was just not like that natural, like I guess on like with the pain that's supposed to grow. So there was that, like that just comes back. But I remember my daughter being born. So after all that madness, she was healthy and everything was good.
Were you in there?
I was in there. I'm trying to remember like I've had 4 now, like which one. I don't get nervous when I'm in like the hospital, like to see all that though. It doesn't, and maybe that's like even.
No, I'm saying you said they kicked you out the room. I want to make sure they brought you back in.
They did. They brought me back in after she was all set up, and it was like, look, she's calm now, and it was all good. And but I remember I was freaking out. I remember like I was like went to my own little like corner. I was like just praying, and because it was just going against everything we had prepared for, and but in the moment when the baby came out, I was there to cut the umbilical cord. And I think there's something too for some men, and I think maybe for most men, but I don't want to speak for everyone. There's something too like that responsibility dropping on you, and like I guess some people either they grow and they meet that challenge or they break. And for me, it was like I needed that. For me, sometimes I need that challenge. I need life to get a little hard. Like I regretfully sometimes I hate when I do this, but I know I need it. Like I'll pray like, God, I just need a good failure. Like I need a really good failure to just like get me like going. I hate to go through it, but sometimes I just need something to push me a little bit more.
So you pray, hold on, let's pause. You pray for a failure?
I just know sometimes like something needs to break.
I know, but okay, so now that we're here, I was trying to wait to the end to get here. But now that we're here on the spiritual tip, right? The Bible say God chaseth those who he loves, right? So this means kind of like a chastisement, right? You won't have to pray for failure because we all see it. We all gonna run into failure every day. Like, you don't have to pray for something that's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen. And so my thing is that's something you don't have to pray for. So I just don't understand why you asking for the failure. But I get it. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
So with my daughter being born, not that my daughter, like that wasn't a failure, but just something to like when you get put in that life where you have a kid and then, all right, we're married and living in my mom's house and my wife's not comfortable living in my mom's and all right, I need to find a house. And so like now then we go buy a house and I have a newborn and I got a new job. And I think
I'm not gonna let you skip over that, man. So y'all bought a house.
We did
the house when you were with your mom.
Yeah, so that's like 2011 now. And thank God for
y'all got it. Y'all got to do the math podcast. I need the guests to do the math because I'm doing the math out loud so y'all can hear. He trying to skip over it.
No.
So his girlfriend got pregnant in 2009. They got married in 2010.
Oh.
Right? I'm just going off what you said.
Yeah. 2000. Yeah, you're right. Keep going. Yeah. No, you're right.
So your girlfriend got pregnant in 2009. Y'all got married in 2010. You was living with your mom. Your wife didn't really like staying with your mom, and y'all bought a house in 2011. See, do you see the progression? It's just like step by step, year by year. So I'm not gonna let you skip over that. And you got to understand, it's a humongous accomplishment to buy a house in California. Matter of fact, if there were any awards, I would say that should be one of the top awards in America. To buy a house in California or New York, it seemed like that is kind of like that's the unknown. That's impeccable.
Sure.
Like I think that's a big deal.
Let me give a disclaimer though. So I may be off like 1 year or so, but that was definitely like within 3 to 4 years that all that happened. So, but remember the time. So, I was not aware. I'm just like going through college with my girlfriend. So I wasn't like aware of like stock market, recession stuff, houses, price of houses. I wasn't thinking about necessarily getting married and buying a house. So I wasn't not even paying attention to any of that. I only knew a little bit because my mom was in real estate, like for a little bit. They bought a house like not too long ago where we were living and like just hearing things. So the disclaimer is that we bought a house at that time. So we bought our house for $200,000. And
So
yeah.
Again, the market crashed in 2008. I just want to make y'all know what's happening. Market crashed in 2008. He bought his house in maybe 2011. He's saying he bought it for $200,000. None of these houses in the world go for $200,000.
Nope.
You can't buy a house in Compton, Inglewood, shout out. But you can't buy a house in Watts for $200,000 now, right? But what I'm trying to explain to you is God has a way of timing.
Definitely.
And so it happened in perfect time. And so they got married. And this is what I love, even if you want to take this thing spiritual. When Abraham had to take his son Isaac up to the mountain, who knew that a ram was coming up the mountain at the same exact time that was going to be able to get him out of that? And who knew Matt getting into all them arguments and waited to get married was going to get him married at the appropriate time in the middle of a recession, where the market crashed and he was able to get his first house in California for $200K. You ain't gonna tell me that ain't no blessing. But go ahead, man.
Oh, let's go. I'll take it. Let's go. I'll rejoice at that. No, definitely. I gotta definitely thank God for that. For me, sometimes I get too much in my head, so I feel like bad for being grateful for stuff like that because I'm thinking of like, honestly, like if all that was happening in these last like 2 years, what am I going to like? Where am I going to live? Like, I got to move out of Cali. There's just no way. So I definitely feel, yes, I'm grateful. I thank God for the situation that I'm in. I see his hand over like all of it without me setting anything up. So it is just a reminder to me constantly of I'm not in control, and thank God I'm not in control. Like, because like in that way, I can just like be blessed by like being rooted into him, just being rooted into the things he has for me. Because when I'm in control, it's like I just keep messing it up.
So tell me this, man. How do you balance? And I kind of want to move this along because I want to ask a lot of questions, and I want you to skip over these. So can you tell me, how do you balance being a good husband now that you had to go through all of the stuff that you did while you were just dating? How do you balance being a good husband versus being a great dad? How are you able to balance?
Yeah. So within like the last 3 years of like, or maybe more, like working on myself, on my marriage, like therapy and things like that. Like for sure, like keep going to therapy, but for sure there's one session that I remember stood out where my therapist had me list out like priorities, right? Like, so who would like be on your list of priorities? And I remember like it just came so like obvious that like my wife is the top. Like there's just no like, obviously God, right? But as far as like people that are in my life, it was just like a natural, like came very like just obvious to me. So I said my wife, and on that list, like that was easy. But then when we started looking at like how I was spending my time, how I was making decisions, it didn't line up. And I remember when that happened, and when like that was kind of like a revelation to me. It's like, whoa, what am I doing? Like, if this is my priority, and I'm admitting and I'm saying that this is the top person, and like I remember him helping me like and seeing like, okay, well, when you like make a decision to go do something, or you're agreeing to go do something with somebody, or like you're spending time here or there, or your job, like, or career decisions, or how you spend your money, like, are you thinking, okay, where does my wife fall into this? Like, or how does she feel about this? Like, if I come home, like, and we agreed to 9 and come home at 10, am I putting my wife first? Like, no, but I just said my wife is number one. So why am I not doing that in my life? So, so I remember like that really was something that helped me to kind of focus and change my perspective. I'm not always like the best at that. But I try to remember that and like check in with her on things, is like try to be better at coming home when I said I'm going to come home. Try to like be more responsible. Like even, yeah, I mean, I still drink. Like I don't like not necessarily somebody who is going to sit here and be like, everyone should drink, because I don't think everybody should drink. Some people shouldn't. I think I do a decent job at balancing it. Don't get as drunk as much as I used to when I was younger. But just try to do a better job, like overall, like being responsible, and including my wife and making sure like that she's a priority. And I say that before being a father, because I feel like if you're not taking care of your marriage, then it's really difficult to really be a good father. I think in the sense of like, not that like single people that are raising their kids single, I get it. Like things happen, and there's different circumstances, but just, I think when you're putting your marriage first, and you can display that example of like two loving people together and like trying to be healthy, and like, yeah, you may fight, but you're trying to work to demonstrate of what a godly relationship can look like. Like even outside of marriage, like what do people look like when like they argue and then like they forgive each other, have grace for each other. And so I hope that I'm trying to do my best to display that for my kids, and that just like, it's an overflow. So I feel like if we're good, we're going to be good for our kids. I'm not going to try to kiss my kids goodnight thinking like, man, I'm so pissed off at my wife and I can't wait till like I move out of this house. And then I'm going to like switch it to tell them goodnight and kiss them goodnight. Like, no, I'm hoping, like, it's not always that I can kiss them goodnight and knowing like I can go then lay down with my wife and we can kind of just, have a good night. So that's kind of where, for me, what I'm trying to focus on. I feel like for the most part, it makes sense. I'm not saying get like lost and forget about your kids, but I think something in this like parenthood culture, and it's very new, of like what a parent's supposed to do, and like take your kids here, and you need to do all these things, and like make sure they're doing all the basketball things, and like you're setting them up for their career. It's like, but did you go on a date with your wife this week? Like.
Hey, Matt, you preaching good. I love it, man. So that leads me to my next question. Like, how do you balance and maintain stress in your marriage, in your relationships, in everything that may not be going your way? How do you manage stress now? Like if the Matt was dealing with some of that anxiety now that you were doing as a kid, how do you, what is your coping skills that you could share to the people?
Yeah. And this is ongoing for me. So that's one that's like, because I quit my job, or I left my main contract, because it was like a job, but it was technically 1099. But the company I was working for, I was pretty much an employee, but they just 1099 me. So I left that. And the bad part about that is if you're getting 1099, well, you can't claim unemployment. So whether they fire you or anything, right? Because you're just contracted. So I remember.
When was that, man?
That was in October of last year.
Hold on. So you haven't worked in a year?
Yeah, it's been 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Year. Wow. So yeah, so come on, Matt. Tell us about the hardships with that, because I promise you, from the outside looking in, no one could tell. You still got a haircut. You still out here. You out
Like
here
once every 2 months.
swagged up. You always smiling. You always happy. You always thankful. Walk us through. Help us. Because see, what we want to understand is, see, everybody read, so we might read the scripture, right? And they talk about the joy that I have. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. You know, God is my joy. I'm blessed and highly favored. But this is what it really looks like. So what I'm
Mhm.
saying to you is, explain to us, how are you still able to walk around blissful, joyful in a situation that you ain't had no job in 6 months in California?
This is so. This is moment to moment, and I think I love the Bible because it talks about the human experience and not in that sense of what you may hear. So if you only show up to church sometimes and you're at a church that's just trying to always jazz you up, you're probably, that's not the experience that I've had with the Bible. The Bible I've had is like David upset with God because his enemies are like hovering over him and they're about to take him out. And he's like, God, where are you? I need you to show up. Like I'm stressing, like I'm gonna throw up like all over my bed because like God, I don't sense you here. I feel you far away. And he just going in on like how God is you're not here. Right. And so that's one thing I really enjoy about like reading the Psalms. And I try to share with people like Christianity is not about being all happy and putting on a fake smile. Like you need to like understand that it's okay to be sad, to mourn, to feel like God is far away, to feel stressed. And I say that because that's me, like day to day, like basketball for sure. That's one of my outlets. So showing up to that, it's a little easier for me because that's a place where I go and like one of the places like a stream that I'm trying to get rooted, like that's feeding me and like re-energizing me. I'm around like friends. We're gonna ball up. We're gonna have this moment where it feels like nothing else important that I just maybe missed a layup or something like that. And it's just a good like just way to kind of forget about things for a little bit. And so there's that part. I think definitely having things like that, whether you have a job and or you don't, and you feel like you're worthless, like still you are worth enough to go have an outlet like playing basketball with friends, because that you gotta still have life and bring things into you that are life giving. Like sitting around thinking about how you don't have a job is not gonna like give you enough joy and peace to share with your children. I'm sorry. It's not, I get it. It's hard and it sucks. And I don't have it figured out. Like I'm not even applying for jobs, and I can get into that, but still, like you still need to treat yourself to some extent, right? Within your means, like you are a loved child of God to the most you can, like, so for me going to play basketball, like I'm blessed that I can afford the $50 a month to pay for it to go to LA Fitness, and that I found a group that plays at 5 a.m. that makes sense for me, where nobody misses me. Like it's like I didn't even go, like dad wasn't even missing. But as far as like the stress, it is a day to day and moment to moment. Like I don't want to lie and like sugarcoat it. I think, but through it's been growing though. So like I'm 39, I'm gonna be 40 this year. But like into my early 30s is really where I started to ask questions. And so for me, my spiritual journey started with like, well, I grew up in the church, but I just didn't read the Bible that much. And I wasn't really super into my faith. I had moments here and there while I was into it. But I remember like being in Bible study at this church I was at before COVID, and like wondering, how did Jesus get from like love your neighbor, like love your enemy, like don't judge people, and like be so like loving? How did he get that if his lessons and example were the Old Testament, and all I heard and knew about the Old Testament was like this angry God and wars and like murder and just like a bunch of craziness. So I remember that's what really struck my journey, and like, let's go figure out like how he got there. And so I say that because it's been a buildup of me challenging, questioning, and maybe even some people aren't comfortable with it, but like what, like even quite like, did he rise from the grave? Like, it doesn't make sense. Did he resurrect? Like, that's a crazy thing to think of, and like, and I get to some people, like it could be like offensive to even question that. but I've allowed myself space, and I try to let other people know that are in my church, like, hey, sometimes I don't have all the faith, and I don't necessarily like believe, and hopefully God still loves me, because I'm figuring it out. So I'm like watching YouTube videos, and it's been a buildup, is all I'm saying, of like building up this faith, and like fasting and reading my Bible more, because I'm curious, not because somebody's saying I need to do it, but because I am like curious, like, is it real? Is it not? And it keeps on, like, I keep getting revelations and I keep digging deeper. And so I say all that because that's really, I think, like the rock that I'm sitting on, even in the stress that I'm in. And it feels super stressful, but I thank God that at least in my worst moments in these last 6 months, I can at the very least just be like, God, this feels, I have no idea. Like, I feel so much anxiety right now. Like, but just be here with me. Just be here with me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I feel like maybe I'm messing up. Like, maybe I should have stayed out of the stock market today, and I shouldn't have lost money, right? But can you just be here with me and help me with my next step? And maybe I mess up again the next day, but I feel like I wouldn't have had that at least that, right? Like, at least something to hang on to give me some hope.
Matt, I really, really, really appreciate you for sharing this, because it might be a lot of people that do not want to admit that. I mean, my thing is, even if you read the Bible say, ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you will be able to find.
Yep.
And the door will be answered. And so when you ask these hard questions, whether you believe or not, and just for the people that's not believers in the Bible, there was once a story with one of the when Jesus came back, and they was like, man, I don't believe it. Doubting Thomas said, man, let me put my finger in the hole. Let me try to see if you really, really was pierced, if they really, really nailed your hands. And so my thing is, I love and I appreciate the fact that that you are curious like that. I think it does wonders for your faith in this situation, right? And I just believe there's another scripture that says, cast all your cares on God because he cares for you. And that's what you're doing as a fisherman. If you don't know what casting is, you'll actually put the bait on and you'll cast your net out. And that's the same thing you're supposed to do with anxiety, depression, fear. You're supposed to be able to cast it out, and just to see, and it's another scripture that says God will give you the peace passes all understanding. And that's what I see when I see my homie Matt. And it's so funny because we all hoop together, and we nicknamed them sleeves, because Matt no sleeves. Every day he'll come in with the sleeveless shirt on, showing his muscles, so he could go ahead and make all the shots mid-range, right? And we called them sleeves. And just to see how he was able to pull this all together, I gained so much more respect from just talking to you today. I already had respect for you, but I just think it heightened to a whole nother level, knowing that it's been 6 months and the world would know. Like, you wouldn't even know, because Matt never asked for a job. He never asked for money. He never looked depressed. He never looked sad. And so if you asking me, this the most that people are going to see Jesus through you. Because at the end of the day, when they see you and you see a light, or you see something good at the other end of the tunnel, this is not material. That's why I wanted to get into, I didn't want to get into this podcast on Matt Got It All Together. That's not what I wanted to do. Matter of fact, the last subject I'm going to talk about before we come to an end, I want to talk about this whole thing, because I heard you mention pornography. I heard you mention masturbation. And so my thing is, and I heard you mention drinking. How does this, right, I don't want to dish out the wrong message for, somebody that is not really sound in their faith, right? But I do want to go over, what do you feel about masturbation or pornography being a sin? Or are they different subjects, or one and the same? What does your wife feel about it? Does she feel like that's a form of cheating? Let's get into that, if you will, please.
Yeah. I do want to mention something. So I'm gonna hold that question. I want to mention something because, and I guess this is kind of a shameless plug, is that the thing that I am thankful though, because it's been some storms for sure, at least emotionally. is that I am starting like I'm going to start a life coaching service. So I don't want to go through all of these storms, and I've been coaching teachers for like the last 10 years and really working on like my coaching and rapport and like how to, you know, build relationships with people. And I've gone through so much, and I've worked so much like on relationships and emotional intelligence and faith journey. And so there's just so much that I feel that's the next step for me, is to start life coaching. So I just want to throw that out. So the Roots and Streams, there will be like Roots and Streams coaching. So I'm just trying to take it step by step. Like, I don't have it all figured out. So that's one thing that even that's hard though. Cause I'm like, can it make money? Like, well, how much
We're
can
gonna
it?
support you, and you giving it to God is gonna make money.
For
It's
sure.
all- yeah.
Just
And
saying, like, starting new things.
your heart is in the right place. That's why I know it's gonna do well. You know,
Yeah.
and you're talking about and not to, and I do this on your podcast, but I started my business here in California in 2015. Right, and that was really scary. Is the business going to do good, or I wonder if?
You hear about that? Yeah.
But my thing is and I hate to keep quoting scriptures, right? But I'm gonna do this one more time, right? But the Bible says at the end of the day about fear. God has not given us the spirit of fear.
Yeah, it's true.
Power, love.
I was just rebuking it last night.
Right, but that's fear, and He has given us the spirit of fear, but He gave us power, love, and of a sound mind.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, whenever those things come near you, you have to be able to shun them things off, because that's, especially you being an overthinker. You know, I think an idle mind is the devil playground. And so the enemy comes into your thoughts and your mind, that is where he have you. Because if I could doubt Matt to not approach his girlfriend, she would never turn into his wife. And if I get him to doubt not going out here to try to search for a random job, he wouldn't be a life coach. And if I get him to not come to LA Fitness, he would not be able to score the 15 points that he did last time. You know, so my thing
got me scoring all points. I love it. We only go to 15.
But the thing is, you want to continue to those things as not as if they were. So yes, I'll be supporting, because I love, and it's not that you have it all together, but your heart is in the right place. And a lot of people, heart posture is not in the right place. That's why they don't do well in marriage, or do well in LA Fitness, or do well in their regular jobs or a company, because your heart, it starts with your heart. Your heart got to be in the right place.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm telling you, I can see your heart.
Yeah.
And so go ahead to the question though, please.
Yeah, no, let's get into it. Cause I like I told you from the beginning, I would not shy away from something like this. So pornography, let's start there. Let's start pornography. And I could share with myself. I remember, like, if you are old enough to know, like, there was a channel that would skip on, and if you didn't pay for it, it was just like squiggly lines, you know, and you just heard things. And maybe you would see like a little something, like a nipple or something. I don't know if anyone had like cable like that, like the channels that you didn't pay for, you couldn't, like, it's not that you couldn't change to there, you would not see it. And so, like, I remember like stuff like that, and like hearing friends talk about like porn and masturbation and stuff. And I remember that, like, those were like sparks for me, like that. And then, like, I remember my mom was saying, I wasn't that young, so like that, like squiggly line stuff, probably like must have been like 9, 10. And then, like, when I started like finding Skinamax, probably a little older, like probably like 11, 12. Because I remember on Cinemax, my mom started, like, you know, she's doing a little better. We got Cinemax now, you know, and we never had HBO, but we had Cinemax and Showtime. And then at some point at night, like, the channel, like the shows would change a little bit. And I remember having like, it was always when my cousins be like, man, like, come on, we're gonna watch these shows, man. Like, we're gonna go, and, like, you know, I forgot what we would like. We would just have, like, you know, just like watch parties. We were masturbating like together, nothing like that. But we would.
Yeah, please throw that out there, because all this stuff I ain't talking about with his cousin. Let's throw this out there, man. Because I mean,
I'm just saying, like, you have just a bunch of horny, like, young kids, and they're just like, you know, finding it for the first time. They're like, bro, you seen this? Like, you know, like, so that's really, and I feel bad. And I honestly, like, my cousins were younger than me, like 3 years younger. So I've even gone back and like said, hey, like, I'm not saying I was a full cause for it, but I do, like, if you forgive me for anything that like I kind of dragged you into, and like, so I have asked forgiveness for that. And I get it. Like, there's, to some extent, it's like joking, and I get the most we'll talk about pornography is like through just joking about it with guys over beers, right? But for me, that just grew and grew to the point where like it was almost like an addiction. Like, this was like the start of the internet, like AOL, finding like websites online, like charging things to my mom's credit card, like, and like just because I was searching for something. I think a lot of times our addiction to pornography or masturbation is because we're missing something. There's something that, like, there's an emptiness that's not being filled. So I have sympathy for people, for sure. Like, I'm not saying like, I don't want to sit here and say like it's bad and that's sin and, you know, what are you doing? Like, no, like, it's hurt. We're hurt people, you know, we're searching, we're trying to cling to something that's going to help us feel alive. And we just need love, right? And so we're searching for it, like searching for love in all the wrong places. But I remember being in that, and so that like carried on through my marriage, and always did it like just, you know, hiding in the bathroom, or like, you know, just my wife never really knew. And I remember one time, like, I was just like getting closer and closer to like my Christianity. So this is probably like late 20s, early 30s. And I remember God like saying, well, what are you going to do about this? Like, how can you be this Christian man if you're like sitting in the bathroom, like on Pornhub, like, and you're just seeing all these women, and like, and your sex life with your wife is not right, and you're not going on like dates and stuff, but you're over here like, but you can like memorize what this girl did in that video, right? And
I mean, so let me ask you this: were you getting mad? Because I mean, and not mad, but disappointed that your wife wasn't able to do a lot of the moves that you remembered at 1507 mark, or whatever you pinpointed it at.
nah, I don't think it was that. To some extent, I knew I had some separation of like knowing this is porn, like, and don't get me wrong, like me and my wife were pretty open, and like I remember growing up, like having the false like teaching of like, I never stuck to it, but like missionary was like, that's the only, like, if you're not in your Bible, this is the things you think, right? Because certain people in the church will tell you certain things, and then you think, okay, that's a Christian thing. Like, missionary is the only like holy position or something like that. But like, no, me and my wife were not about that. And I didn't really like get frustrated with her. We didn't have any of that. Like, and if anything, she was probably like fine with it to some extent. Cause I remember when I told her like, hey, like, I kind of want to get rid of like this porn thing. And like, I can remember coming with it, and different men have different stories. I've heard men talk about like their wives being pissed and like not talking to them. My wife was like, I mean, it's fine. Like, you're not with those women. So like, it's whatever. Like, she didn't really see it. But for me, it was more like I had to explain to her, like, no, like, me constantly looking at these women, like, sometimes I'm thinking about them when I should only be thinking about you, you know, like, or for me also, it went as deep. Again, I'm like maybe an overthinker of like, I'm thinking about the industry and like these women, like these poor women, like what's happening behind the scenes. Like, I think about it, I get too much thinking about it.
Trying to save her head. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You can't save them.
I know we could joke about, but no, for real, like, I think it really is legit. Like, if we all really believe we're children of God, right? Like that. And I know we joke about it as men. I know, especially over beers and stuff. But I'm thinking like, dude, what industry am I like supporting? Like, this can't be good. And I'm not trying to put down people that are in that industry either. Like, I'd never do that for sure. Like, I get it. Like, I even remember my wife's boss, because they work in like with homeless people, and she like reprimanded somebody. She's like, oh yeah, this prostitute, and she's like, she's not a prostitute, she's a woman who works as a prostitute. Like, don't give her that identity, you know. Like, I remember it just remember stuck to me, because you know, why am I going to judge somebody that's just doing something because they're just trying to eat, you know? Like, I'm not doing that. All I'm saying is that it's an industry. Going back, let me reel it back a little bit, is like, all those things were weighing on me. And so I remember like asking and this is probably really out of the ordinary, like, and I haven't really, and when I share this with other men, they're kind of surprised, of like asking my wife, like, so just help me stay accountable, you know. Like, she wasn't like on my phone or like checking on me, but like I would ask for like sex more often for sure. And I was like trying to be more open to her, like, okay, hey, I'm feeling kind of horny, like, you know, it's like, or I was just trying to, and it's also because I was listening to this podcast, honestly, like The Basement with Tim Ross. He's super transparent and super open about like all these things, and he's an ex-pastor. And it allowed me to feel more comfortable talking about sexuality with my wife. So for me, it was more so like disconnecting from porn. I don't know. For me, it wasn't serving me. Some people may have like their own argument of why it's fine, but for me, it wasn't serving my marriage. It wasn't serving my sex life.
So you no longer watch porn anymore.
No, it's been years. And, you know, sometimes when
you're telling me people can be delivered from watching porn.
Oh, 100%. And okay, it's going to look different for everybody.
Porn is $1 billion industry. And Matt said he was addicted, i.e. crackhead, right?
Yeah.
So he always watched porn. He used to so much so sneak into the bathroom, probably think about it at work and think about it all 100%. The time to watch it. And so now he does not have an urge and don't watch porn anymore. And I think that's an amazing testimony.
I won't go that far. The urge still comes up.
Okay.
Being delivered doesn't mean like that, like little porn addicted Matt is not sitting in the corner. Like, you know, like I think it's an ongoing journey with, it's just about anything, you know, I think being like, I don't know, being delivered from it is an interesting term, because I would say it comes up in moments when, like, maybe like I talked about it in my podcast, like my wife recently had a baby, like 9 months old, and like you go through like a drought, right? If that's your only source, right, is your wife, then yeah, those urges, or I'm in a week or so where I'm fighting with her, you know, so I'm like thinking about like, man, but I really like, you know, kind of need this release, or I need to feel something. So I like start thinking about it, but it's been like a handful of years that I'm to the point where I was like, I'm not going to go back to that. Because once for me in my head, I'm like, if I hit that reset, then I'm messing like all over again.
Get that crack one more time. Yeah. Friday go out the window, man. You got to start all over from scratch. So I think you're absolutely right.
Cal, I'll mention, and I know like you probably short on time, but I will mention this. Like, if we're just talking about masturbation in general, that one is an interesting one. I have mixed arguments for that, and I think with anything, if you're in a place, hopefully like with your wife, where like sexually, where you can even talk about like, hey, during this time, like I'm gonna like, if you're okay, like I'm gonna masturbate, and like just to like, because I still get those urges. And I would say even as far as like getting content from your wife, and I've even heard pastors talk about this, like that you can look at, right? That so you're still focusing on your wife. You're still building your brain to make connections, to desire your wife, to see your wife naked, like whatever footage you need on your phone. You're on a business trip, maybe, right?
That's creative.
I'm saying you're on a business trip, right, and you want to keep yourself right? And like, hopefully you have men around you that also can help you do that. But I'm saying it's a tool. Some people don't agree with it. Some people think masturbation, and even Tim Ross, like I just mentioned him, he's not a big fan of like doing that because he feels like you're kind of like taking control of something you shouldn't. I feel like if you don't feel convicted about it, you feel like it's something just to help you manage. You've talked to your wife about it, like do all those things. Because for sure it can become another addiction, right? Because then maybe that'll take you back to the pornography. All I'm saying is that the more and more you can get comfortable with these topics, you can really bring them out and look at them, right? And start to really look at it for what it is. Because if you're just thinking about it in the back of your head and like secret, you're going to make mistakes. But just as much as you can, bring these things that are taboo forward and look at them and call them and talk about it for what it is, and then make a decision, right? Like, is this going to be okay right now or not? And that's what I've been trying to do. It's not easy though.
No, I got two more questions for you.
For sure.
This one, you know, so have there ever been infidelity?
So when in our first year of marriage, it was close. And I think it was the time we were close to divorce. We were pretty much to the point where we weren't talking to each other. We're like roommates. So I have so on the back end of all those blessings, right? Marriage, baby, house, and now married first year in, because we didn't really spend the time. We were having more sex than therapy. What that set us up for is for a marriage that when my wife is having the baby, whether or not it was like postpartum blues or she just really wants to focus on the baby, now I'm like dried up. There's really no sex going on. There's no intimacy. And like, I'm still in my porn stage. And so doing all that. And then like, I start talking to a girl at work. And like, you know, I'm pushing it and because I'm not even talking with my wife at that point. We're just like, and it was all stemmed from like, we were just like in a very dry, like intimate stage. Like we weren't having sex. We weren't like talking after work. And so just a lot of remorse for each other and like walking around like we're just roommates. And I remember she found out, and I thank God she found my phone and she found the messages before it turned into like, you know, like something more in a relationship, because it was definitely going that route. And so we finally sat down. It's like, look, are we going to do this or not? Like, this is the final, like, cause this is it. I remember like meeting at our dinner table. I was like, this is it. Like, this is the conversation. Either we're getting divorced, or we're going to figure it out. Like, cause and to me, I was coming to it like, I'm done. Like, I don't know. I see no hope in this relationship. I have no hope at all. And I remember talking to a friend, a male coworker who was always with me driving around. And he had gotten a divorce. So I thought for sure he would direct me on how to get a divorce, why it's okay. But he told me the opposite. He told me do everything you can, and how he did everything he could to try to stay married.
I love it.
And it just threw me for a loop, that he did that. And so that's probably the reason why I even came to the table with that last conversation. It's like, all right, I'm gonna try to do everything I can. So let's really sit and figure it out. So I come to the table and I'm just in there like all prideful, all like, you know, pouting child, like what? So this is not gonna work. I'm not happy. I don't know what to tell you. What are we going to do? Like, I'm just not about it. Like, I'm not trying to be creative or let's make it work. Like, you know, like that's for my daughter, you know, like I wasn't thinking about doing it for the kids. None of that. I was just like, Matt's not happy. And I don't want to be this sad. I don't want to live a life where I'm just miserable and I need somebody who loves me, like for real. And so I remember like, we were just in between, like talking and just sitting there. And I really like, I'm always careful. I'm very careful about like what God does and what just happens, you know, and you could say God does everything, but I really have to believe, and whether, you know, people believe it or not, like I truly believe that God just like, he just touched me with an idea that was not my idea. Cause I told you, I just said like, where was my state of mind? And I just like had him, he just gave me this whole idea of like, and I remember telling her of like, okay, well, look, all of a sudden I got like really like strategic and like, okay, look, let's list out all of our problems. All of a sudden I'm talking like this because this idea came from like God. I remember let's take a Google Docs. This is like when Google Docs were new, and I'm a nerd, like I'm a technology nerd. So us working on a collaborative Google Doc. Anyone, I don't know, it's just a nerdy thing. So like, I'm like even getting excited about that. So I'm like, all right, let's open up this document. You open your computer, open my computer. Let's list out all of our problems. All right, like you don't get along with my mom. Like we don't spend time with each other. Like we don't have things to talk about in common. Like you don't like the way like I father, but like, or our parenting, like we're just listing out issues. I said, all right, we have all of our issues. And now let's say like let's come up with ideas of how we can kind of combat and like work on that issue. Okay, so we're both going to listen to the same radio station. It was like, and so when we come home, we both have listened in our drive to the same thing. So we come home, we can kind of like chop up about what we heard about. Dude, that was probably one of the main things that came out of there, of like, you just need to have things to connect on in marriage. If you just keep on going day to day and like, it's just going to get boring, and you got to keep dating your wife. Like you have to. And so that was one of the main things that I think was like a lifesaver for us, is like finding something in common. Because for us, it was always something. That's probably one of the reasons why we broke up. I always felt like we didn't have enough in common. So we came up with that list. I still have that document. We didn't follow it to the T. We didn't come back to it and try to like, hold it over each other's head. But I think something to collaborating and like looking at our marriage in a way, like the issues that, hey, we can maybe make this work. Like being able to lay things out, like lay out the issues, lay out some ideas. And that was just like the anchor that really got us through that time. And it was just years of working on our marriage after that. So, I mean, I've had, I don't want to throw, certain people under the bus, but there has been another moment that I've had to ask for forgiveness that I had, like when I was just partying but it wasn't like sex or anything, but still like kissed another girl. And I remember like, I confessed it to my wife and she was very forgiving and gracious. So I don't mention that one as much because it was more of like, just like I was being dumb and it was like a one-off thing. And it wasn't sex. This other one was like, I think emotional ties sometimes are even stronger than like one night stands. Cause like this was a girl I was talking to constantly, texting. We had nicknames for each other, like everything. I see her at work. Like, to me, that was a major one. And that was like what nearly led to divorce.
God, you don't work there no more. Jeez. Okay. So my final question. Question. Okay. If you would do this exercise for me really quick, right?
For sure.
Kind of close your eyes real quick. This is it. Just close your eyes. And I want you to follow me in this process.
All right.
Me and Matt, we just left basketball. We went across the street to the restaurant. We having beers. We talking. We chilling. Right. We at our table. We just ordered our food. And this young man walked in the restaurant. He looks pretty lost. He's very timid, very shy. He's getting ready to go to the bathroom. Right. But he comes up to you, right? And he asks you, what time is it? You looked at your watch. You told him the time, but God put you something in your heart to say to this young man. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this young man is the 12, 13-year-old Matt, young Matt, timid, mm-hmm. got out of the depression stage. He was just crying the day before this. What would the Matt now tell the young Matt that just walked into the restaurant? You can open your eyes and you can tell us what you would say to, what would the older Matt say to the younger Matt right now?
Yeah. There's a God that loves you. You may not see him, you may not feel him, but I promise he exists and he's coming after you. He loves you so much. He's going to find you, maybe not in this moment, but just know that he's going to come at you with so much love, with so much joy, with so much hope, that you are going to be overwhelmed. And through the insecurity, through the wondering, it's okay. Like go forward with that. That's all right. But just know that you can find hope in knowing that you're going to find a God that just loves you so much. And he's going to just want to hug you, whether you're questioning him, whether you're mad at him, whether you're doubting him, through all the situations. And just know that you'll find his love.
Hey man, that's speechless. That got me emotional, sent chills on my spine and everything. That was a really, really good answer because that's the God we serve that chases after us. The Bible say that he'll leave the 99 to come and see about us.
Yep.
That is amazing when you really think about the essence of it. You see the Lion of Judah in the back, right?
Yep.
My thing is, I really want to thank you, Matt, for your time. I really want to thank you for your vulnerability. I also want to be able to encourage you, with the coaching, whatever I can do to assist and help. I'm here for you.
Appreciate it, Los.
I really believe that you set the world on fire just by being transparent and telling your story. And we love you, Matt. Thank you so much,
man. You. Love you too, Los. Appreciate it.
All right, man. See you soon.
All right. Peace.
All right, y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.